Hello and welcome to Channels Book Club. I'm Olakunle Kasumu. It's great to have you on the show again. Our guest author today has written a very fascinating book on political advertising in Nigeria. I'll be introducing him and his book soon. But let's get started as usual with a teaser. One question we get regularly is, how do I get my book published? Many people put in efforts into writing but don't know what to do with their manuscripts. Hence, the question we are tackling today. So, if you are one of those people, or you are planning to write a book sometime in the future and you're already wondering how you're going to get the book published, well, to answer that question, it is important to understand two broad ways of getting a book published. The first is what is called traditional publishing, and the other way is self-publishing. So you either publish traditionally, traditional publishing, or you do self-publishing. We'll deal with self-publishing in a subsequent episode, but for now, let's explain traditional publishing. What is traditional publishing? In traditional publishing, the author, usually through a book agent, looks for a publisher that is interested in publishing the author's book. The publishing company that is interested then outrightly buys the intellectual property rights to an author's manuscript. So there you are, you've written, you have your manuscripts, you go around looking for a publisher that is interested, you eventually find one, and that publisher looks at your manuscript, wonders whether it's a good product for sale, for marketing. Once the decision is made that it is, will buy your manuscript, buy the intellectual property rights to your manuscript. Okay, and once that is bought, they will agree royalties with you. So royalties are due to the author based on percentage of sales, and usually between 7% and 15%. Now, in this type of publishing, the book agent represents the author, negotiates the deal with the publisher, and in return gets a percentage of any monies earned from the sale of the author's book. Part of the arrangement includes payment of what is called an advance by the book publisher. Now, the advance is meant to secure the book deal. The advance is deducted by the book publisher from any royalties the author receives from the sale of the book. So the author does not receive any royalties until the advance is paid back in full. So basically, once the publisher gives you an advance, now let's say you advance, to get the money for your advance, you will need to sell 5,000 copies of that book. That means you will not be due for any royalties until 5,000 copies of the book has been sold. After then, the royalty agreement kicks in. Now, the advantages of traditional publishing: the publisher pays for the production, marketing, and distribution of the book. The author does not need to bother about all those. Also, in traditional publishing, there is more prestige and it offers more credibility. So when people see a book that has been published by a traditional publisher, they usually consider that book to have more credibility. Now, the publisher handles the sale of your book and usually does so through literary agents. The author does not need to bother about how to sell or where to sell a book that is traditionally published. Also, formal media outlets find it easier reviewing books that are traditionally published rather than self-published books. Now, there are a number of disadvantages, and the ones that stick out, are usually it is difficult to find a traditional publisher. Getting your book published, if you are looking for a traditional publisher, depends on whether or not a publisher is interested in your material. So many times it takes a lot of time for authors to get traditional publishers. Many manuscripts have been rejected multiple times before eventually a publisher is found. So that can be pretty difficult. Now, the book is also, once you have a traditional publisher, it is also owned by the publisher. And to get that ownership back can be very tough, or could require you buying the intellectual property rights to your own book back. So if you pay for the printing or production of your own book, market it yourself, and oversee its distribution, then that is not traditional publishing. It's self-publishing. People mix this up, and you need to get it right. If you go to a publisher and you have to pay for the printing of your book, the marketing, the distribution, and all those things, then that's not traditional publishing. It's more or less a different type of publishing. We'll dig in more into self-publishing in a subsequent episode. Well, I hope that helps. Up next is our guest author for today. He is Sam Loco-Smith, a mass communication expert with a PhD degree and extensive experience in public relations, media relations, advertising, and corporate communications. He has written a book that is likely to become an important referenced material for political advertising. The book is titled Political Advertising in Nigeria. It explores the history of political advertising in Nigeria and combines write-ups, research findings, citations, and interviews. Dr. Sam Loco-Smith joined us to explore his book. Enjoy this. Dr. Smith, nice to have you on Channels Book Club.
Yeah, thank you.
Great to have you here.
Wonderful.
Welcome.
Yeah.
And well done on your book, Political Advertising in Nigeria. You've been in advertising, mass media, mass communication for so many years, and you have multiple degrees in the field. So I shouldn't be asking you what motivated you to write this, should I?
Yeah.
I mean, but for the sake of it, maybe there might be a story, a specific story behind this book. Is there?
Yes, yes. The truth is that there are several books about advertising in Nigeria. If you go to all the bookshops, you'll find a lot of books on advertising. But you will never find any book on political advertising. There are several journal publications on political advertising, but you will not find any textbook in political advertising in Nigeria. So I was able to appreciate that gap, and I felt I can venture into that aspect. And I looked at it, and I started it jokingly, systematically, and I felt that it wasn't right, because political advertising is a primary foundation for any major election. Primary foundation for any major election. That is why INEC, after the political primaries, the next major thing is political campaign. In Edo, they are campaigning now. Trump is campaigning now. Ondo is about starting the campaign. So INEC will allow you to finish the primaries and give you a duration to mount your campaign, political advertising campaign. You sell your candidates, you sell your programs, you sell your manifestos, because at the end of the day, it is the audience, the electorates that determine who gets to that position. So with that political advertising, nobody knows who is who.
There is no politics.
There's no political advertising. Today we talk of, you have Chief Obafemi Awolowo, AG. He introduced what people never believed could happen, the skywriting political advertising. The man Awu, AG, life more abundant.
Was it not using what you call sky advertising?
Yes, helicopter tool as in doing that technology. As far back as that time, then we have MKO, Hope 93, Farewell to Poverty. Farewell to Poverty was looking at the issues at hand. But he brought in a melodious aspect to it, and that is, I tire for this country, so palava. I tire for life, now something done. MKO, SEP, Kinkibe, Action, Abiola, Kinkibe, Progress. Now Abiola be the man for better tomorrow.
Amazing how you remember that.
So that was that was a political advertising ideology and philosophy that addressed the issues
Now, you took the history of political advertising from 1923 in your book, and then you explained how the early newspapers like Iwe Iroyin and Co., how they were used as tools or channels, for advertising, for political advertising, rather. Okay. I found that very interesting. So this book basically traces the history of political advertising in Nigeria.
How it started?
Is that correct? That's
yes,
a correct summary.
We're looking at how it started. The Nigerian newspaper, the Nigerian media started political advertising. The Reverend Henry Thompson, when he established it, was just to use it as to inform.
Henry Townsend. Townsend, okay.
Yeah, to inform the communities, the Egbas, the Yorubas, about when a meeting will be coming up at a particular point at a particular location, as systematically it now developed into a tool for political advertising. That was the kicking point. Because at a point when they discovered that the newspaper Iwe Iroyin was no more representing the interests of the Yoruba Ati Awon Egba. So the Yorubas people now said, come, Reverend Father, what is going on? So that was how it started. And it went on like that until when we got to 1957, 58. That was when political advertising officially kicked off with Chief Obafemi Awolowo. He used his helicopter to go around all parts of the country, throwing flyers, banners, T-shirts, face cap, biros, and so on. But the beauty of that something was the skywriting, the man awu, AG, life more abundant. Then we had Jonathan, who came up with breath of fresh air. I had no shoes, using the appeal, the emotional appeal of political advertising.
That 2015 campaign, in my opinion, ushered in a new era, a new dispensation of political advertising in Nigeria, 2015.
Yeah.
But 2019 was something else. 2019 took it to a whole new level. I think, but it was in 2015 I began to, personally,
appreciate.
I became worried. I think it was the first time I began to see how much of money was being thrown into political advertisements, which perhaps will not be a problem if that didn't make one think about the source of the money being used for political advertisements in Nigeria. So one of the things I observed in your book is the ruling party often outspends the opposition party. In 2015, PDP outspent APC. But in 2019, APC outspent PDP from the figures in your book. Is that a correct observation?
You see, the ruling party is in control of a lot of things. The electronic, the print, they're in control of a lot of things.
And the pause.
Yeah. Like I told you, that in 2015, ahead of 2015 election, outdoor advertising alone was about 5-point-something billion.
In 2015?
In 2015. The print was about 3-point-something. Radio, TV. So if you put everything together, you're looking at maybe 12-point-something billion.
Wow. That
was ahead of 2015 general election. And the slogan was, APC had change. That was the slogan. And because the situation then was about, okay, change became a slogan. If you want to have a handshake with somebody, change. If you want to wave to somebody, change. And the presidential candidate, that is Buhari, came up with the slogan, Say Baba. So all those went a long way. So while PDP was pending, APC, the opposition then, was moving into a kind of one-on-one grassroots political advertising campaign. And they did not spend up to PDP in all aspects of political campaign strategy.
Okay, Dr. Smith, let me take you to some of these adverts. I found them very interesting. You know, in your book, it reminded me, we all saw them. But the one that really generated a lot of controversy was the Ayo Fayose advertisement. Which
January 19, 2015.
that was in 2015, right? Nigerians be warned, life and death, where he practically was prophesying the death of the then opposition leader, who won the election and subsequently became our president, President Muhammadu Buhari. This was a very controversial one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, because nobody expected that a political advert could go that far, with APCON rules and regulation that all adverts must be approved before exposure. You know, so it was, if you read the explanation of Femi Adesina, who was then the MD of Sun, how the all came about, it's in the book. But the advert sent a message.
It was shocking.
The advert sent a serious message, the effect of political advertising. It could be negative, it could be positive. It's just being creative about the political advertising. He went very far.
You are saying it was creative?
Yes.
It was creative, right?
It was creative.
But
it was a creative concept of political advertising taken too far. It was creative. That's why the book is Political Advertising in Nigeria, Creativity, Intrigue, and Electoral Outcome. The reaction was like, we can't believe it. Sun had to explain.
It was on the front page.
Front page of Sun, front page of Punch, January 19, 2015. You will see it. Is there.
Enough of state burial.
Enough of state burial.
So he was insinuating that, Muritala Mohammed, Sonia Abacha, Yar'Adua died in office.
So no more another.
And that was because there were a lot of reports or rumors about the health
of the president.
Yeah, the state of health of
the opposition presidential candidate then.
Yes, that was why.
Yeah.
So he was basically saying, if you vote in another sick person, we may have another
state burial.
State burial.
So Nigeria be wise. That's what he said there. Vote Jonathan.
Now, a lot of people then...
APCON reacted. A lot of people
Everybody reacted. The whole country reacted.
Reacted to it because it was, like I said, a political advertising creativity taken too far. The effect of that advert was people now became aware that the president is going to London again. Ayo Fayose said it.
It became, the whole, everybody's attention
so anytime,
was focused on his
anytime
health.
Buhari goes to London, Ayo Fayose said it. You know? So those were the effect. But the good thing is that after that trip, Buhari came back and you have a sea of journalists approaching him, and it was a front page story too. Say, I am healthy and fit.
So they used it
for the
So they
it was a reply.
They turned it around to
check the front pages
the advantage of
yeah.
APC. Incredible. Politicians are, they are like aliens, really. But in politics, it's usually the two parties or the main parties, who fire all these shots. One fires a shot, a creative or an aggressive advertisement shot. The other one cooks up something else and fires back and all that. And it was interesting looking at some of these things we saw back then, but no one has forgotten. And the good part about your book is it helps to put everything together. Yeah. And in one read, you can be reminded of some of those. And I saw this one, which reminded me again that there were all these different bodies who were doing adverts on behalf...
Support groups.
Yes, of the political parties.
Yeah.
And I remember, I saw this one, I think it's page 36 of your book, the type of president Obasanjo wants. Okay. And there's a picture of Obasanjo and Atiku bowing down to him. Yeah. And the story here is to say, hey...
Is this the type of president you want?
Is this the type of president who wants? The same person that you have accused of so many crimes.
Yeah.
Now you want him to become president. So they put it on a page, or they splashed it in newspapers, full pages and all that, signed by Vanguard for True Democracy in Nigeria, vote APC.
Yeah. You know, like I said, it's all political advertising,
it's-
political advertising creativity. That is all
You
about
prefer
it.
to look at it as
because
creativity.
you know why? Because Obasanjo was the president. Atiku was the
his
vice. Culture, you know, demands that when you see your senior, you greet, you bow. That is the culture.
That's Nigeria culture.
So creativity, and somebody said, let's look at Atiku bowing down to greet Obasanjo. We can get something from here.
The same article that he said,
yeah.
he told us,
Yeah.
is this, is that, is this, is
Yeah.
that.
You know, yes, he said so. I said this or that, but you see, you don't say because your senior, your father, was angry with you. You go to the public and disgrace him or insult him. So what Atiku did was wisdom. What Obasanjo's reaction was wisdom. But to the opposition party, it was, this is the type of person you...
Obasanjo is looking for somebody who will be bowing
to him.
To him.
So that's what I say. It is strategic political advertising communication using different appeals, emotional appeals, negative appeals, attack appeal. What you are seeing there is an attack appeal. Using attack, what Ayo Fayoṣe did was attack appeal, attacking the emotions, the sentiment, attack the health issues.
Okay. There is this interesting part where you collated what you call caricature,
Political advertising.
political advertising. And this funny one in page 410. I'm sure if he ever gets to watch this, he'll probably be laughing by now. 410, this one about Jimmy Agbaje, JK.
Yeah, Jimmy JK.
JK is just kidding, and there he's there like a baby with a feeding bottle, you know, woe unto thee, O land, when thy king is a babe, and thy princes eat in the morning. They even put scripture there, Ecclesiastes 10:16.
Like I've said, political advertising is about creativity. Somebody looked at the history of Jimmy Agbaje and
Dog all these things.
look, all those things, put them in a creative communication approach. And one interesting thing is this, they all made reference to the scripture. Ayo Fayoṣe's advert made reference to the Bible.
Yes.
You know why?
Why? Because
Because advertising started in the Bible. Check the book of Genesis, chapter 3. There was a communication between God and Adam. Don't touch this one, but you can take every other thing except this one. But the serpent came and said, did God ask you not to? What is happening there? Persuasive advertising communication.
Dr. Smith. Okay, that's new.
No.
That's interesting.
Check it.
Yeah.
Genesis chapter 3. That is where advertising started. Make a choice. God said, I want you to take this. This one, don't touch. But Eve was able to fall to the persuasive communication strategy of the serpent and tasted it and told the husband, I have tasted it. If you taste it, it will be better. You know between good and bad. And Adam tasted it. The whole something said. The issue is that there was a choice. In advertising, political or not, you must make a choice.
Dr. Smith, there's so much to talk about. So many adverts here we could explore. So many adverts here that bring up a lot of memories, for me. Well done. Good job you've done. Nigeria needs this and more. We tend to lose a lot of these experiences because they are not properly documented, which is what we've tried to do here in an area that's very, very important in Nigeria's political life. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for joining us on Channels Book Club.
Thank you. I'm grateful.
Thank you. Yeah. I hope you have had a good time with us today. As always, we'll be delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. I'm Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.